Terrell stood alone in the great observatory dome. The night sky of Arksan glowed with stars through the crystal ceiling. His six-fingered hands moved quickly over the control panel. For 200 years he had studied the stars. He was the senior astronomer of the Arksani people, and now he had found something terrible. The large screen showed two stars. They were not normal stars. They were neutron stars, the dead cores of once mighty suns. The numbers on the screen told a clear story. These stars would crash into each other. When they did, they would send out a massive burst of energy. This burst would reach Arksan in 30 cycles. Terrell's skin changed from its normal blue to a pale white. He had checked his work 20 times. The numbers were right. His people faced death. The Arksani had lived for thousands of years. They had built cities on 12 planets. They had ships that could travel between stars. But they could not stop this. The burst would kill everything in its path. Tyrell saved his work and left the observatory. He walked through the nighttime city. Tall buildings made of crystal and metal reached up to the sky. Flying vehicles moved between them. People walked and talked, not knowing their time was short. In his home, Terrell looked at the small device on his desk. For years he had listened to signals from a small blue planet. The beings there called themselves humans. Most Arksani thought these humans were simple creatures. They had not yet traveled to other stars. But Terrell saw something in them. There, signals showed they thought differently than the Arksani. They were creative in ways his people were not. Morning came. Terrell stood before the Council of Elders. 7 old Arksani sat in high chairs. They wore the red robes of their office. The room was large and cold. Senior Astronomer Terrell, tell us your news, said Elder Nomi, the head of the council. Terrell touched his screen. The image of the neutron stars appeared on the wall. I have found a danger to our people. These 2 neutron stars will collide in 30 cycles. When they do, they will send out a gamma-ray burst. This burst will hit our star system and kill all life here. The room was silent. Then Elder Verick laughed. His laugh was not happy. You must be wrong. Check your work again. I have checked it many times, said Terrell. The danger is real. Can we stop it? Asked Elder Nomi. No, said Terrell. We cannot move stars. We cannot block the energy. We have only one choice. We must leave this star system before the burst arrives. Leave, shouted Elder Verick. Where would we go? We have 12 colony worlds, but none can hold all our people. Our ships are too slow to take everyone far enough away. I have an idea, said Terrell. There is a species on a planet called Earth. They call themselves humans. Elder Verick's skin turned dark red with anger. Those creatures, they have barely reached their own moon. Yes, said Terrell, but they think differently than we do. Their signals show great creativity. They solve problems in ways we do not understand. You want to ask them for help? Asked Elder Nomi. She sounded surprised. Yes, said Terrell. We should send them a message. Tell them our problem. Ask for their help. Elder Verick stood up. This is foolish. They cannot help us. They will not understand our message. They will not care about our problems. We should use our time and resources to save as many of our people as we can. The council room filled with voices. Some agreed with Verick. Some were curious about Terrell's idea. Elder Nomi raised her hand. The room became quiet. Terrell, you may send your message, but we will also prepare our ships to save as many people as possible. Terrell bowed and left the room. For 10 days, Terrell worked on the message. He used mathematics that any advanced species would understand. He included pictures of the Arksani people and their world. He showed the neutron stars and the coming danger. He asked for help. On the 11th day, Terrell went to the Great Communication Tower. This tower could send powerful signals to other stars. Usually it was used to talk to Arksani colonies. Today it would send a message farther than ever before. Terrell loaded his message into the system. He aimed the tower at the small blue planet. He pressed the send button. The message began its journey across space. Young astronomer Dami came to stand beside him. Do you really think they will help us? She asked. I hope so, said Terrell. I have studied their signals for years. They are strange beings. They fight among themselves over small things. But they also help each other. They save each other. They work together to solve big problems. "But they are so far behind us in technology," said Dami. "Yes," said Terrell, "but they learn quickly, and they think in ways we do not. Maybe they will see a solution we cannot see." The message continued to flow into space. It would take 4 years to reach Earth. Then, if the humans understood it, they would have 26 years to find a way to help. As the stars came out, Terrell looked up at the night sky. Somewhere out there was a small blue planet. On that planet were beings who might save his people. "Please hear us," he whispered. "Please help us." The wind howled outside the Jangbogo Antarctic Research Station. Inside, Dr. Jiho Park sat in the warm glow of computer screens. It was his turn to monitor the deep space listening program. Most nights nothing happened. The computers recorded cosmic noise, and Jiho checked that everything worked properly. He reached for his coffee cup. The station was quiet at 3 a.m. His eyes were heavy. Then a sharp beep came from the main computer. Jiho looked up. The pattern recognition software had found something. "That's strange," he said to himself. The screen showed a signal pattern unlike anything he had seen before. As he leaned forward to look closer, his arm knocked over his coffee cup. Brown liquid spread across the desk. Jiho ignored the spill. The signal was too important. It repeated in a clear pattern. It wasn't random. It wasn't natural. Someone had made it. Dr. Hyun was asleep in his quarters. Jiho called him on the station phone. "Hyun, you need to see this now." 10 minutes later, Dr. Hyun stood beside Jiho, staring at the screen. His eyes were wide. "It's structured. Deliberate," Jiho said. "This isn't random cosmic noise. Where is it coming from?" asked Hyun. Jiho pointed to the coordinates. "About 47 light-years away. No known pulsar or other natural object there." Hyun's face was pale in the blue light from the screen. "We need to tell everyone." Within hours, the signal was sent to observatories around the world. Radio telescopes in China, Australia, South Africa, and Chile all turned to the same point in space. They all received the same pattern. At NASA headquarters in Washington, scientists gathered in a large room. The walls were covered with printouts of the signal pattern. "It has to be artificial," said Dr. Minji Kang, head of SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. "Nature doesn't make patterns like this." Teams of mathematicians and linguists worked day and night. They looked for any way to understand what the signal meant. After 2 weeks, they found the first clue. The signal contained simple math equations. 1 + 1 = 2. The value of pi, prime numbers. "They're establishing a common language," said Dr. Jiho Park, who had flown from Antarctica to join the team. "They're teaching us how to understand them." As weeks passed, more of the message became clear. The senders called themselves the Arksani. They showed pictures of themselves, tall beings with blue skin and 6 fingers on each hand. They showed pictures of their star system, and they showed a terrible danger, 2 dense stars on a collision course. "They're facing extinction," Dr. Jiho told the President of the United States. "When those neutron stars collide, the gamma-ray burst will kill everything in their system." The President called an emergency meeting of the United Nations. Representatives from every country gathered in New York. They sat in the Great Round Room and listened as scientists explained the message from space. "The Arksani need our help," said Dr. Jiho. "They have asked us specifically." The room filled with voices, some excited, some afraid. The Chinese delegates stood up. "We barely understand their technology. How can we help a species more advanced than our own?" Others agreed. The Russian delegate questioned if the message was real. The Brazilian representative wondered if it might be a trick. Dr. Jiho waited for quiet. Then he spoke again. "Yes, there has much in their message we don't understand. Their technology is far beyond ours, but the clearest part of their message is not technical. It's emotional. We understand their fear. They're asking for help, and they believe we can provide it." "Why us?" asked the Indian delegate. "Why would they ask humans?" "Because they've been watching us," said Dr. Jiho. "They've been receiving our radio and television signals for decades. They see something in us that they need. A different way of thinking, a creativity they might not have." The debate continued for days. Scientists, politicians, religious leaders, and ordinary people all shared their thoughts. Some feared contact with aliens. Others saw a moral duty to help. In the end, The vote was clear. Humanity would respond. Humanity would try to help. 4. Another month. Teams worked on the reply. It had to be clear. It had to show that humans understood and wanted to help. On a cold morning, 3 months after receiving the alien signal, the message was ready. The world's most powerful radio transmitters, working together, would send it to the stars. People gathered in homes, schools, and public squares to watch on television. This was the most important message ever sent by humans. At the main transmitter site in Puerto Rico, Dr. Jiho Park stood with other scientists and world leaders. The big clock on the wall counted down. 2. 1. The message began its journey across space. First came mathematical proofs to show understanding. Then came human pictures and information. Finally came the most important part, translated into the mathematical language the Arksani had taught them. We hear you. We understand. We are coming. As the message streamed into space, people around the world cheered and cried. For the first time, humanity acted truly as one species with one voice. That night, Dr. Jiho stood outside looking at the stars. Somewhere out there, blue-skinned beings with 6 fingers would receive this message in 4 years. Would humans find a way to help them in time? No one knew. But for the first time in history, humans had a purpose that united the entire planet. We're coming, Jiho whispered to the stars. Wait for us. 5 years passed quickly after humanity sent their message to the Arksani. The world changed in ways no one could have imagined. Countries that once fought each other now worked together. The greatest minds on Earth focused on one goal, building a ship that could travel to the stars. The Arksani had sent detailed information about space travel in their messages. They described ways to bend space and move faster than light. At first, human scientists didn't understand these ideas, but they studied hard. They built test machines. They failed many times. And then, slowly, they began to succeed. In orbit, around Earth, a new shape grew day by day. Workers in spacesuits connected giant metal pieces. Supply rockets came and went. The ship was named Prometheus, after an old story about someone who brought fire to humans. The ship looked strange. It had a long central body with ring-shaped sections. At the front was a pointed nose of special metal that could push aside space dust. At the back were huge engines, unlike anything built before. Inside were living areas, science labs, and storage, for food and supplies for the long journey. On Earth, thousands of people worked to create new technologies. Engineers built machines that could make food from basic chemicals. Doctors developed medicine that could put people into deep sleep for years. Computer experts made systems that could run the ship if all the humans died. Captain Sunwoo Kim watched the ship grow from her office at Space Command. She had been chosen from among thousands of pilots and astronauts. At 45 years old, she had gray in her black hair and lines around her eyes. But she was the best pilot on Earth, with quick hands and a calm mind. One morning, Sunwoo sat at her desk looking at pictures of people on her computer screen. These were the people who would join her on the journey. Physicist Dr. Ji-Woo Lee with his thick glasses and quick smile. Engineer Minho Park, who had designed parts of the ship's engines. Communications specialist Do-Hyun Kang, who had helped decode the Arksani message, and 15 others, doctors, pilots, scientists, and technicians. "Are you ready for this?" asked General Hana, who stood behind Sunwoo's chair. Sunwoo nodded. "As ready as anyone can be for a mission to another star." "The ship launches in 3 days," said the general. "The president wants to speak to the crew tomorrow." 3 days later, the crew of 19 gathered in a small white room at the Space Center. They wore blue flight suits with patches showing Earth and a distant star. Some looked scared. Others seemed excited. All looked determined. Captain Sunwoo stood before them. She was not tall, but when she spoke, everyone listened. "I have the final mission report," she said. "The computers give us a 38% chance of survival. That means we are more likely to die than to live." She paused and looked at each person. "This is your last chance to back out. No one will think less of you." The room was silent. No one moved. Sunwoo smiled for the first time. "Good. We leave in 2 hours." A small ship took them up to Prometheus. As they floated through the corridors, Engineer Minho touched the walls with gentle fingers. "I helped build this," he said softly. "I never thought I would fly in it." The crew strapped into their seats in the control room. Screens showed Earth below them, blue and beautiful. Captain Sunwoo checked all systems. Everything was ready. "Prometheus to Earth control," she said. "We are ready for engine start." "Earth. Control to Prometheus," came the reply. "You are clear for engine start. Good luck and Godspeed." Sunwoo looked at her crew. "Start the count." Dr. Jiwoo Lee began to count backward from 10. 10, 9, 8. On Earth, billions of people watched on screens. They gathered in homes, in schools, in big public squares. They held hands and prayed or simply watched in silence. 3, 2, 1, 0. Sunwoo pressed the button. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a low hum filled the ship. The hum grew louder. Outside light began to bend around the ship. Stars seemed to stretch into lines. Earth grew smaller, then vanished. There was a flash of light that cameras on nearby satellites recorded. Then Prometheus was gone. The first human ship to travel faster than light had begun its journey to the stars. 47 light-years away, on a blue planet circling a yellow star, an old astronomer named Terrell stood in his observatory. 6 of his 8 fingers were now bent with age. His blue skin had turned pale, but his eyes were still sharp. A young assistant ran into the room. "Teacher Terrell, we have received a signal from the humans." Terrell moved quickly to the screen. The message was simple. The humans had launched their ship. They were on their way. "Remarkable," Terrell whispered. "They're actually coming." He looked at his assistant. "They received our message only 9 years ago. In that time, they built a ship that can travel between stars. We didn't think it was possible. Will they arrive in time?" asked the assistant. Terrell looked at another screen showing the approaching neutron stars. "The collision will happen in 21 cycles. If their ship is as fast as they claim, they will arrive with 5 cycles to spare." The old astronomer looked out the window at his city. People walked the streets, rode in flying vehicles, lived their lives. Most still didn't know about the coming danger. The council had kept it secret to avoid panic. "They are coming," Terrell said again, his voice full of wonder. "The impossible is happening." The stars stretched and then snapped back to normal as Prometheus slowed down. After 2 years of travel, they had arrived. The 19 crew members had spent most of that time in deep sleep, waking only for short periods to check the ship's systems. Captain Sunwoo Kim looked at the main screen. A blue-green planet filled the view. It looked a bit like Earth, but the continents were different. The oceans were darker. And around the planet moved hundreds of ships. "We are being scanned," said communications specialist Do-hyun. His hands moved over his control panel. "They're sending us a message." Strange symbols appeared on the screen. The ship's computer worked to translate them. Words in English replaced the symbols. "Unknown vessel. Identify yourself." Captain Sunwoo took a deep breath. "This is Captain Sunwoo Kim of the Earth ship Prometheus. We come in peace to help the Arksani people." For a long minute there was no response. Then more symbols, more translation. "Stay in position. Do not move closer. We are sending ships to meet you." 5 ships broke away from the planet and moved toward Prometheus. They were sleek and silver, shaped like teardrops. They were much smaller than the human ship. "They're surrounding us," said pilot Junho. "Should I prepare defensive systems?" "No," said Captain Sunwoo. "We came to help, not to fight." Engineer Minho Park studied the alien ships on his screen. "Interesting. Their hull material is something I've never seen before. And look at how their engines work. Different from ours." "Their technology is both more and less advanced than ours," Minho observed, as the alien ships came closer. "Their material science is amazing, but our engine design seems more efficient." One of the alien ships moved very close. A tube extended from it toward Prometheus. "I think they want to dock with us," said Do-hyun. "Let them," said Captain Sunwoo. The tube connected to the airlock on the side of Prometheus. The crew gathered near the door. They wore their regular clothes, but they carried translation devices and small cameras to record everything. "Remember," said Captain Sunwoo, We are guests here, be respectful. The airlock door opened with a hiss. On the other side stood 3 tall figures. They had blue skin and long arms with 6 fingers on each hand. Their eyes were large and dark. They wore simple white clothes. The tallest alien stepped forward. It was clearly very old. Its skin was pale and wrinkled, but its eyes were bright and alert. It spoke, and the translation device in Sun Wu's hand changed the sounds to English. I am Terrell, senior astronomer of the Arksani. You came. Many believed you wouldn't. Captain Sun Wu bowed slightly. We received your message. We understood your need. We came to help. Terrell's large eyes blinked slowly. Follow me to our ship. The Council of Elders wishes to meet you. The human crew followed the Arksani through the tube to the alien ship. Inside, the walls glowed with soft light. The air smelled like cinnamon. Everything was clean and simple. In a large room, 7 elderly Arksani sat in curved chairs. They looked at the humans with curious eyes. Welcome to Arksan, said one of them. I am Elder Nomi. We thank you for coming, but we must ask, how can you help us? The neutron stars will collide in 5 cycles. The gamma-ray burst will destroy all life in our system. Dr. Jiwoo Lee stepped forward. We have studied your situation. We have ideas that might help. On Earth, we use special machines to move large rocks in space. We think we can combine our technology with yours to move one of the neutron stars just enough to avoid the collision. The Arksani looked at each other. One of them laughed, a strange bubbling sound. Move a neutron star? Impossible. Let us try, said Captain Sun Wu. For the next month, humans and Arksani worked together. The Arksani provided energy systems more powerful than anything on Earth. The humans contributed mining technology that could cut and move asteroids. Together, they built 10 huge machines called deflector arrays. These were placed in space near one of the neutron stars. The plan was to use the arrays to create a strong push on the star, changing its path just enough to miss the other star. On the day of the test, humans and Arksani gathered in the control center on the main Arksani ship. Captain Sun Wu and Terrell stood side by side watching the screens. Activate Deflector Array 1, said the Arksani operator. The first array lit up. Energy beams shot toward the neutron star. The star's path shifted slightly. It's working, said Minho. Activate arrays 2 through 10, ordered Terrell. The other arrays powered up. But as they did, something went wrong. Array 3 began to shake. Then it exploded in a flash of light. The explosion damaged arrays 4 and 5. Stop the test, shouted Terrell. The remaining arrays shut down. On the screen, the neutron star returned to its original path. What happened? Asked Captain Sun Wu. The energy was too much for the array structure, said Minho, looking at the data. It couldn't handle the stress. The Arksani Council of Elders called an emergency meeting. The human leaders attended. This failure proves what we feared, said Elder Varick. The plan cannot work. We should use our remaining time to evacuate as many people as possible. But there's not enough room on your ships for everyone, said Dr. Jiwoo. Millions will die. We have no choice, said Elder Varick. Captain Sun Wu had been quiet, studying the data from the failed test. Now she looked up. We have another option, she said. All eyes turned to her. The direct push approach failed. But there's another way. We can use gravitational lensing principles instead of direct deflection. What does that mean? Asked Elder Nomi. Instead of pushing the star directly, we place our arrays in a special pattern. We use them to bend space itself around the star. It's like creating a hill that the star will roll down, changing its direction. Impossible, said Elder Varick. No, said Terrell, his old eyes bright with hope. It might work, but we would need to rebuild all the arrays with a different design. We have 4 cycles left, said Captain Sun Wu. We can do it. The council voted. It was close, but they decided to try Sun Wu's plan. The work began again, humans and Arksani side by side, racing against time. For 3 months, humans and Arksani worked together to build the new arrays. They placed them in a special pattern around the neutron star. Each array was designed to bend space itself, creating what Captain Sun Wu called a gravity pathway that would guide the star to a safer course. On the final day, With only weeks left before the predicted collision, the command center was quiet. Arxani and humans stood side by side, watching the main screen. The neutron stars were visible as tiny points of light, slowly moving toward each other. "All arrays report ready," said Engineer Minho. Captain Sunwoo looked at Terrell. The old Arxani nodded. "Begin," she ordered. One by one, the arrays activated. Unlike the first attempt, there were no explosions this time. Instead, space itself began to bend around the neutron star. The effect was too small to see with eyes, but the computers tracked it. "Star path is changing," announced Dr. Jiwoo. 0.001 degrees. "Not enough," said Elder Verick. "We need at least 0.02 degrees." Hours passed. The arrays continued to work. The star's path shifted more. 0.01 degrees, reported Dr. Jiwoo. His voice was tired. Captain Sunwoo studied the data. "The arrays are working at full power. We need more." "There is no more power," said an Arxani engineer. Sunwoo turned to Minho. "What if we redirect power from Prometheus? Add our engines to the mix?" Minho's eyes widened. "That might work, but it would destroy our ship. We might never get home." Sunwoo looked at her crew. They nodded one by one. "Do it," she said. Prometheus moved into position. Its powerful engines, designed to bend space for faster-than-light travel, now joined the arrays. The ship shook as its power drained away. "Star path changing faster," said Dr. Jiwoo. 0.015. 0.018. A loud crack sounded through Prometheus as metal bent and broke. "Ship structure failing," reported Minho. "We have minutes left." 0.02 degrees, shouted Dr. Jiwoo. "We did it!" The neutron star was now on a path that would miss the other star by a tiny distance. But in space, a tiny distance was enough. "Shut down all systems," ordered Captain Sunwoo. "Save what we can of our ship." The arrays powered down. Prometheus's engines went silent. In the sudden quiet, humans and Arxani looked at the screen. The neutron star continued on its new path. "Will it hold?" asked Elder Nomi. "Yes," said Dr. Jiwoo. "The star's path is stable now. It will miss the other star by a safe margin." For a moment, no one spoke. Then Terrell's old voice broke the silence. "You have saved us." 3 days later, in the Grand Hall of Elders on the Arxani homeworld, thousands of Arxani gathered. Screens broadcast the event to millions more. The human crew stood on a platform beside the Council of Elders. Terrell stepped forward to speak. His voice was weak with age, but the sound system carried it clearly. "People of Arxan, for thousands of years we have traveled the stars. We built great cities and made wonderful discoveries. We considered ourselves the pinnacle of evolution." He paused. "Yet when faced with our end, it was the humans, beings we dismissed as primitive, who saved us." He turned to the human crew. "They came across the stars because we asked. They risked their lives for people they had never met. They sacrificed their ship to save our world. We owe them everything." The hall filled with a strange sound. The Arxani were placing their 6-fingered hands together rapidly. It was their way of showing thanks. In the months that followed, humans and Arxani worked together to repair Prometheus. They also built something new, an embassy where both species could meet and share ideas. Knowledge and culture flowed between worlds. Arxani technology improved human medicine. Human art and music fascinated the Arxani. 10 years passed. On Earth, scientists detected a large asteroid on a collision course with the planet. It was big, enough to cause terrible damage. Earth had ships that could reach the asteroid, but nothing powerful enough to move it. As the world leaders met to discuss options, unusual readings came from the edge of the solar system. 20 Arxani ships appeared, led by a commander named Lami. "We remember," the Arxani commander told a relieved Earth Council. "You helped us when we needed it most. Now we come to help you." The Arxani ships used their advanced technology to break the asteroid into small, harmless pieces. Earth was saved. 5 years after that, sensors detected signals from another star system. A new species was sending out a call for help. Their sun was dying, becoming too hot for life. Earth and Arxan decided to respond together. They built a joint fleet of ships to travel to the distant world. and help move its people to a safer planet. On the day before the fleet's departure, Admiral Sunwoo Kim, once captain of Prometheus, met with Teril. The Arksani was very old now, his skin almost white with age, but his eyes were still bright. They stood together on the observation deck of the main ship looking at the stars. "I've always wanted to ask you something," said Sunwoo. "Why did you believe we would come? Why did you believe humans would help?" Teril was quiet for a moment. Then he turned to her. "Because in all our observations of your species, your most defining quality was never your technology. It was your refusal to accept impossibility." Sunwoo smiled. "And now we teach each other." "Yes," said Teril. "That is the greatest gift of all." The next day the fleet departed, carrying humans and Arksani toward a new mission of mercy among the stars, the end.